Doraemon attached a keypad to the door. After removing one button, he wrote school on it. Finally, he put the button back in place. When Nobita opened the door, he found himself directly inside the classroom. How incredibly convenient. Restoring it was just as simple. All he had to do was press the white button. This time, Nobita stepped outside and discovered he was in his own hallway. Turns out this gadget was called the magic keypad door. You could even write other destinations on it. After explaining its functions, Doraemon left. Nobita started thinking about where he wanted to go. First on his list was definitely Shizuka's house. Just then, Shizuka's cabinet door changed color. When Nobita opened it, it really was Shizuka's house. Shizuka was doing her homework at that moment. Nobita quietly crept up behind her. Then he quietly jotted down the homework answers. After muttering a thank you, he turned and walked away. Shizuka was utterly stunned. Turning around, she saw only the cabinet door slowly returning to its original color. She walked over to the cabinet door but found nothing unusual. After returning to his room, Nobita began pondering where to go next. He wrote movie theater on the board. Now he could watch movies without buying tickets. Nobita successfully arrived at the cinema. The film playing was his favorite, Dinosaur World. But when he looked back, the seats were already filled. He had no choice but to head home. With the key doors, he could go anytime. He began pondering his next destination. His stomach was growling fiercely now. Suddenly, he had a great idea. Tsuneo was playing video games at home. Tsuneo's mom brought out some snacks. Seeing Nobita, she was startled. She quickly offered the snacks to Nobita. Tsuneo's family snacks were indeed delicious. He had just seen Nobita off when he turned around to find Nobita sprawled on his bed. Tsuneo then entered his own collection room only to discover Nobita had followed him there. Even going to the bathroom couldn't escape him. Tsuneo was on the verge of breaking down. After teasing Tsuneo, Nobita returned home. He then thought of how to prank Jian next, seizing the chance to snatch back the comics and toys that had been stolen from him. Opening to the floor, watching Jian's pitiful state, Nobita was delighted. Jian was nearly furious. Nobita said goodbye and dashed off. Jian was livid, but when he opened the door to look, there was nothing to be found. Jian had just turned to go back inside when Nobita kicked him again, sending Jian tumbling to the ground. Jian swore that if he caught Nobita, he'd teach him a proper lesson. He immediately charged toward Nobita. Nobita hurried back into his room. Jian's mom saw him rushing over the moment she opened the door. Without a moment to think, she grabbed Jian by the collar with one hand and slammed him to the floor. That was a pretty rough move. Mom explained it was just a reflex. Finally, a chance to teach Jian a lesson. Nobita wasn't about to let him off easy, so he went back to Jian's room, but Jian wasn't there. Nobita decided to grab his comic book first. What he didn't know was Jian was hiding on top of the wardrobe. Nobita turned around and spotted Jian. Jian jumped down. Nobita was so scared he rushed off running. After returning to the room, Jian followed him in. Nobita put on the bamboo copter and tried to escape, but Jian caught him anyway. No matter how Nobita struggled, he couldn't break free. In the end, Jian dragged him back. Jian then swung his fist, ready to punch Nobita. Nobita screamed in terror. He frantically pressed a button and tried to run. Unexpectedly, he ended up in the classroom. Jian tackled him to the ground. The teacher heard the commotion and came to investigate. Are you two here to fight in the classroom? Jian quickly hugged Nobita. We just came to get something we forgot, he explained. Nobita hurriedly agreed. We're really good friends. How could everyone possibly...
なんだ、そういうことか。それで忘れ物は見つかったのかね。はい、見つかりました。そうか。だったら早く帰りなさい。はい、すぐ帰ります。さようなら。
They then returned to their room. At that moment, Jian's expression changed instantly. He started beating Nobita relentlessly. Nobita really shouldn't have provoked Jian. After venting his anger, Jian prepared to leave. He noticed a button above the door and became curious. He randomly pressed one of the buttons. When he opened the door to look, he discovered it was actually a movie theater. Jian saw it was the newly released Dinosaur World, but the movie had already ended. The lights came on, and the audience began leaving. Just then, Nobita heard a commotion. As he went to investigate, a crowd surged in. Doraemon also returned home at that moment. He was utterly shocked. How had so many people suddenly appeared in the house? Nobita was pushed into a corner, desperately calling for help.